Deep in the heart of Brocéliande forest, where the trees grow so densely that sunlight barely touches the forest floor, there exists a place known only to those brave enough to venture beyond the beaten path. It is said that within these enchanted depths, the shadows take on a life of their own, never lifting, never fading, no matter the hour of day. The dense canopy of ancient oaks and pines has absorbed centuries of secrets, some of which are whispered by the wind as it rustles through the leaves, a low murmur of ancient warnings. Locals speak of a certain area deep within the forest, where no matter how much time passes, the shadows remain as thick as ever. It's a place where light struggles to break through, and where even the bravest travelers feel an unease settle over them. Those who have dared to journey too far into these depths claim to have seen strange phenomena. Shadows that don't belong to any human form, flickering movement at the edge of their vision, and fleeting figures that appear only to vanish when looked at directly. Some say it is the lingering magic of the forest itself, while others believe it is something dark, a curse, placed upon the land long ago. And it is not just the shadows that make this part of the forest so unnerving, but the oppressive silence that hangs in the air. There is no sound of birds or animals, no rustling of leaves, only the feeling of being watched. Some whisper that the spirits of ancient druids who once roamed the forest still linger, their presence felt only in the stillness. Others tell tales of Merlin himself, who is said to have wandered these woods, weaving spells so powerful that they left an indelible mark on the land. It is believed that the very essence of his magic still lingers, warping reality and keeping the shadows alive. As dusk begins to fall, the atmosphere thickens. The shadows grow longer, stretching across the ground like dark fingers reaching out to pull you deeper into the forest. And it is during this time that the forest truly comes alive. Some have heard soft whispers in the wind, too faint to understand, but enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck. The ground beneath your feet seems to shift as though the earth itself is alive, holding on to the secrets buried beneath it. But perhaps the most chilling phenomenon of all is the sense of being followed. There are those who claim to have wandered these woods, only to feel eyes upon them, a cold breath on their neck, and a persistent feeling that something is moving just beyond their sight. The more they quicken their pace, the closer the footsteps seem to grow, and when they finally turn, there is nothing but the still, empty forest, its shadows deepening as if mocking their fear. In Brocéliande's enchanted depths, time seems to bend. The hours stretch and twist in unnatural ways, and the forest itself appears to have a life of its own, shifting and changing with each step. Some say that if you venture too deep, you risk losing yourself to the forest forever, becoming one with its shadows. Legends tell of those who entered and never returned, their fates sealed by the forest's strange magic. Even for the most skeptical, there is no denying the strange, otherworldly aura that envelops this part of Brocéliande. Perhaps it is the magic of the druids, or perhaps it is the lingering presence of Merlin, whose spirit is said to wander the forest, guarding its secrets. Whatever it is, the enchanted depths of Brocéliande remain a place of eerie mystery, where shadows never fade, and the forest keeps its ancient secrets hidden, just out of reach. Beneath the dense canopy of Brocéliande forest, where the sunlight barely touches the forest floor, lies a secret that has been whispered about for centuries, but remains elusive to all who search for it. It is a tale of a lost city, hidden deep beneath the roots of ancient trees, where the ruins of a forgotten civilization lie waiting to be uncovered. But those who seek it often find themselves lost not just in the woods, but in time itself, as if the very forest has conspired to keep its secrets buried forever. For generations, stories have circulated among locals of strange, half-remembered visions seen at twilight, a faint outline of towering stone structures in the distance, shadows that seem to shift unnaturally, and the feeling that something ancient, something powerful stirs beneath the earth. The lost city is said to have been a once great center of druidic power, its people blessed by the gods with knowledge and wisdom. But in their arrogance, they turned their magic toward darker rituals, invoking forces beyond their understanding. As the power of their magic grew, so did the forest's wrath. One by one, the city's structures crumbled, and its inhabitants vanished, leaving only the eerie silence that now pervades Brocéliande. But is the city truly lost? Or has it simply been waiting for the right moment to reveal itself once more? Some believe that the forest itself is alive, and that it has concealed the ruins for its own protection. There are accounts of explorers who, after searching for days, stumble upon what seems like a clearing, only to find that it's not a clearing at all, but an illusion, a mirage of the city, designed to keep them from finding the real one. Others claim to have come across strange markings on trees, symbols carved into bark, which, when deciphered, lead to hidden paths that might, just might, reveal the entrance to the lost city. But every attempt to uncover the truth has ended in failure, as if the forest itself were guarding the secret. The very ground beneath Brocéliande seems to have a will of its own, shifting and moving as though it has a purpose, perhaps to protect the long-forgotten city, or perhaps to prevent any further intruders from discovering the horrors that lie beneath. Travelers have described hearing odd noises in the night, like the sound of stone grinding against stone, or the low murmur of chanting carried on the wind. Is it the remnants of the Druids' ancient rites, still echoing through the forest, or something else, something darker that waits beneath the surface? On rare occasions, some have ventured too deep into the forest, drawn by the pull of an unknown force. They return, disoriented and shaken, with stories of eerie stone structures half buried in the earth, overgrown with vines and moss. Yet, when they try to retrace their steps, the city is gone, as though it has vanished back into the depths of the earth. It's almost as if the city is not bound by the same laws of reality as the rest of the world, slipping in and out of existence, a phantom that taunts those who try to discover its location. Legends tell that the city's magic still lingers, hidden deep within the roots of the trees and the earth itself. It is said that those who are chosen, those whose hearts are pure and whose intentions are noble, will be granted the power to uncover the city's secrets and claim its knowledge. But others warn that the city is cursed, and those who seek it with selfish desires or a thirst for power will meet a terrible end, consumed by the same dark forces that destroyed its people long ago. Despite the dangers, the allure of the lost city beneath the trees remains irresistible to many. It is a mystery that continues to draw explorers, adventurers, and even those seeking the wisdom of the ancients. But Brocéliande is a place where nothing is as it seems. The city's ruins, if they even exist, are buried deep in the forest, hidden by time and the forest's magic. And perhaps it is better that they stay lost, for some secrets, after all, are meant to remain hidden forever. The lost city beneath the trees is a legend that calls to those who dare to dream of forgotten worlds. But it is a call fraught with peril, and whether it is a city waiting to be uncovered or a phantom of the past is a question that may never be answered. Because, in Brocéliande, some truths are simply too dangerous to reveal. As twilight falls over Brocéliande forest, a peculiar stillness settles upon the land, broken only by the whispering winds that weave through the branches of ancient oaks and towering pines. These winds are not like any other. They carry with them a strange energy, as if the forest itself is trying to speak, to tell a story long forgotten. The voices that travel on these winds are not the whispers of nature, but something far older, echoes of ancient spirits who once walked the land and whose presence still lingers in the very air. For centuries, locals have spoken of the eerie murmurs that rise from the forest at night, carried on the breeze. At first, they might sound like the rustling of leaves, but as the wind picks up, the sound becomes clearer, as if voices are calling out from the depths of the trees. Those who have dared to listen closely describe hearing faint words that seem familiar yet impossible to understand, like a language lost to time. Some believe that these are the voices of druids, whose spirits still haunt the forests, lingering to protect their sacred grounds. Others suggest that the wind carries the voices of those who have been lost within the forest, their souls never able to find peace. The whispers grow stronger as night deepens, taking on a haunting quality that chills the bones of anyone unlucky enough to be caught in the forest after dark. Some travelers have reported hearing their names called softly on the breeze, only to turn and find no one in sight. The more they listen, the clearer the voices become, and the more they feel themselves being drawn deeper into the heart of Brocéliande, as though the wind itself is guiding them towards something or someone. There are those who claim that the spirits of Brocéliande are not just passive observers, but active participants in the fate of anyone who wanders too far into their domain. These spirits, some say, are capable of manipulating the wind itself, bending it to their will in order to confuse and disorient trespassers. They speak in riddles, hinting at ancient truths and forgotten secrets that only those with a true understanding of the forest magic can decipher. But for most, these whispers are maddening, driving them to the brink of madness as they struggle to understand the voices that seem to taunt them with knowledge just beyond their reach. In some areas of the forest, the whispers are said to become more intense, as if the very wind is alive with the presence of the spirits. It is here that the most unsettling phenomena are said to occur: leaves swirling in impossible patterns, the sound of footsteps following those who walk alone, and cold gusts of wind that seem to come from nowhere, carrying with them faint, mournful cries. These winds do not merely pass by, they linger, as if waiting for something, for someone. Many have ventured into these parts of the forest, only to return with a look of terror in their eyes, their minds forever haunted by the voices they heard in the wind. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of these whispers is the way they seem to know things that no one should know, secrets buried deep in the hearts of those who venture into Brocéliande. It's as though the spirits can see into the very soul of a person, revealing their innermost fears, regrets, and desires. The whispers become sharper, more insistent, as if the spirits are trying to push the traveler towards some unknown fate. Some say that the wind carries warnings of danger or impending doom, while others believe that the voices are the last remnants of ancient druids trying to reach out to the living to prevent the destruction of their sacred land. In the quietest moments of the night, when the world seems to hold its breath, the whispers become clearer, speaking directly to those who listen. For some, it is a comforting sound, a connection to the past, a reminder that the forest's magic is still alive. For others, it is a harbinger of doom, a warning to stay away from the places where the spirits roam freely. The wind carries the voices of those who cannot rest, and as long as Brocéliande stands, the whispers will continue to haunt the air, calling out from the shadows, waiting for the right soul to listen. No one knows for certain what the spirits of Brocéliande want, but it is clear that they are not simply remnants of the past. They are a part of the forest, woven into its very fabric, and their voices, carried on the whispering winds, serve as a reminder that the forest is not as empty as it may seem. It is a place teeming with history, with stories and spirits that refuse to fade into oblivion. And as long as the winds continue to whisper, the spirits of Brocéliande will never truly be gone. They will remain, eternally bound to the forest, their voices a chilling reminder of the ancient forces that still hold sway over this mysterious land. In the heart of Brocéliande forest, amidst its twisted paths and ancient trees, lies the legacy of a sorcerer whose name is spoken with both awe and fear: Merlin. The wizard, renowned for his power and wisdom, was said to have roamed these very woods, weaving spells that defied the natural laws of magic. His influence on the forest, on the land, and on the very fabric of reality itself is a tale that has endured for centuries. But while Merlin's wisdom is legendary, there is a darker side to his legacy, a curse that refuses to die, lingering in the shadows of Brocéliande and casting a pall over all who dare to uncover its secrets. Merlin's magic was not bound by the ordinary laws of time and space. His power was said to transcend the boundaries of the mortal world, reaching into realms unknown. Some say that Merlin's very spirit still haunts the forest, bound by an ancient spell he cast in his final days. a curse that was meant to keep his power from falling into the wrong hands. It is said that Merlin foresaw the dangers of his knowledge, the temptation it posed, and thus sealed it within the very land where he once roamed. But in doing so, he unknowingly condemned himself to an eternity of wandering, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Those who venture too deep into Brocéliande often speak of strange phenomena, glowing lights that flicker through the trees like will-o'-the-wisps, fleeting visions of a tall figure cloaked in shadow, and whispers carried on the wind that seem to call out Merlin's name. These are not the echoes of a man long gone, but the lingering remnants of a curse that still holds sway over the forest. For Merlin, it seems, cannot truly die. His magic, bound to the very earth of Brocéliande, ensures that his presence is felt even long after his mortal form has passed. Some believe that Merlin's curse is not one of pure malice, but rather one of protection. It is said that he bound his soul to the land to ensure that no one would ever misuse his knowledge, that the magic he left behind would never fall into the wrong hands. But the price of this protection is steep. Those who seek the power of Merlin, whether out of ambition or desperation, find themselves cursed as well, their lives forever entwined with the sorcerer's fate. Some become lost in the forest, drawn into its depths by an unseen force, never to be seen again. Others are driven mad by the constant whispers, the relentless pull of Merlin's power that beckons them toward an unknown and often fatal destiny. The curse that Merlin left behind is not just one of misfortune but of temptation. It is said that those who come too close to the heart of Brocéliande, who seek to uncover the secrets of Merlin's magic, will find themselves ensnared by their own desires. The forest offers its visitors the promise of great power, but in exchange it demands a price, one that may cost them their sanity, their soul, or even their life. For Merlin's curse is not just about the fear of what lies hidden in the forest, it is about the danger of wanting too much, of reaching for power that should never be touched. Merlin's legacy, it seems, is a double-edged sword. While some have managed to find fragments of his magic, ancient texts, hidden symbols carved into the trunks of trees, and strange artifacts that pulse with an unnatural energy, their discovery comes at a cost. The more they learn, the more they feel themselves slipping into the same trap that claimed Merlin. The same fate that bound his spirit to the land now seeks to claim them, weaving its dark threads into the fabric of their lives. But even for those who resist the temptation, the curse is ever present. It is said that the forest itself seems to watch over those who venture too close to the truth. The trees groan under the weight of Merlin's power, and the winds carry his whispers, warning of the dangers that lie ahead. Some have even claimed to hear Merlin's voice calling out to them, offering guidance, but with a warning in his tone. Those who accept his help will find themselves forever changed, bound to the same eternal curse that he himself suffers. And so the curse of Merlin endures, an unbroken chain that stretches through the centuries, its power lingering in the very air of Brocéliande. It is a curse that will never die as long as the forest stands. For Merlin's legacy is not just a tale of magic and wisdom, but of the cost of such power, a cost that few are willing to pay, and even fewer can escape. The sorcerer's curse may be ancient, but it is as alive today as it was in Merlin's time, a reminder that some powers are too great to wield and some legacies are too dark to escape. In the deepest, most secluded corners of Brocéliande forest lies a place known only to those who have dared to venture far beyond the familiar paths, a grove shrouded in mystery and steeped in ancient power. It is here that the druids of old, those keepers of forbidden knowledge and masters of the natural world, conducted their most secretive rituals. The Druids' Grove, as it is known, is not just a place of nature's beauty, it is a site where magic runs so deeply that it has become intertwined with the very fabric of the earth itself, and where rituals once thought to be lost to time still echo through the forest. But the power that once flowed through this grove is not the kind that brings healing or wisdom. It is the kind that opens dark portals, gateways to realms beyond the mortal world, where unspeakable forces stir. Legends tell of the Druids' ability to commune with the gods and the spirits of the earth, performing rituals so potent that they could summon the elements, alter the very flow of time, and open doors to worlds that lie beyond human comprehension. The grove was said to be the heart of their power, a sacred place where the boundary between the mortal realm and the supernatural was thinnest. It was here that the Druids performed their most dangerous ceremonies, rites that were meant to tap into the darkest forces of nature, to reach out beyond the veil of reality and touch the unknown. Over the years, stories have circulated about the strange phenomena that occur within the grove, particularly at dusk when the last rays of sunlight vanish behind the trees. Travelers who have strayed too far into the heart of Brocéliande claim to have seen faint, otherworldly lights flickering within the grove, a kind of unnatural glow that seems to pulse with an energy that does not belong. As the air grows thicker and the shadows lengthen, the whispers of ancient druids are said to rise on the wind, chanted incantations carried on the breeze, their words a forgotten language that still holds the power to manipulate the very fabric of reality. Some of the more daring souls who have ventured into the grove have claimed to witness unsettling visions. Shadowy figures dressed in the robes of druids, standing around stone altars, their faces obscured by hoods. As the figures raise their arms, the air grows cold, and the ground beneath their feet seems to tremble, as if the earth itself is responding to their call. In these moments, the veil between worlds is said to thin, allowing something, some entity, some force, to slip through, if only for a brief moment. Those who witness these events often report feelings of intense dread, as if the very air has grown heavy with an unseen presence. Some hear a low, resonant hum, as though the grove itself is alive with ancient power. Others claim that time seems to distort, as though they've been caught in a moment outside of normal existence, a moment that holds no beginning or end. But it is not just visions or strange sounds that make the Druids' Grove so terrifying. Those who have unwittingly stumbled upon the grove after dark often find themselves disoriented, unable to find their way back. The trees seem to shift, their trunks and branches twisting into shapes that defy nature, as if the very forest is closing in around them. The path that once seemed clear now disappears, leaving the traveler in a disorienting labyrinth of trees and shadows. It is said that the deeper you go into the grove, the more difficult it becomes to return, for the rituals that were performed here have left a lingering influence on the land, warping the very space around it. The grove seems to protect itself from intruders, as if it has become a living entity, guarding the dark portals that once were open there. In the darkest corners of the grove, where the trees grow so thick that they block out the light, the air is heavy with an oppressive energy. Some believe that this is where the Druids performed their most dangerous rituals, using the power of the forest to tear open the fabric of reality and allow beings from other realms to slip through. These dark portals, said to be formed from the very essence of the earth itself, are not easily controlled, and once opened, they can lead to places where no human should tread. The creatures that dwell on the other side of these portals are said to be neither fully mortal nor fully spirit, existing in a realm of shadows and nightmares. The Druids who once used these portals were not only seeking power, they were searching for knowledge, attempting to tap into forces beyond their understanding. But it is said that some of these rituals went awry, the portals opened too wide, and the beings that crossed over were too powerful to control. It is from these failed rituals and the beings they unleashed that the curse of the Druids' Grove is born. Those who venture too deep into the grove are said to be at risk of encountering these beings, or worse yet, becoming trapped in the space between worlds, unable to return to the mortal realm. Even today, the Druid's Grove is a place of dread, where the air is thick with the remnants of ancient spells and the echoes of rituals long past. The winds carry the faintest whispers of incantations, and the ground pulses with an energy that has not faded with time. The portals that were once opened may no longer be active, but the dark power that they tapped into still lingers, an ever-present reminder of the dangers of meddling with forces beyond comprehension. Those who enter the Druid's Grove today find themselves not just walking through a place of ancient power, but a place where the very fabric of reality trembles, where the veil between worlds is never fully sealed, and where the echoes of dark rituals continue to haunt the land. There are places in Brocéliande forest where the mist lingers longer than it should, creeping through the trees and wrapping around everything it touches, as if the forest itself is hiding something, a secret, a presence, a ghost. Among the legends that haunt these woods, none is more chilling than the tale of the phantom of Brocéliande, a restless soul whose mournful cries echo through the fog and whose shadow is said to wander the misty paths, never able to find peace. The phantom is no ordinary spirit. It is said to be the ghost of a once powerful figure, perhaps a druid, a warrior, or even someone who sought to tap into the dark forces that still linger within the forest. What is certain is that the phantom's soul is trapped within the mist, bound to Brocéliande by a curse that has kept it in this spectral state for centuries. Unlike most wandering spirits, this one does not haunt a specific location. It is a presence that moves through the forest, drifting like a shadow that can never quite be pinned down. Those who have ventured too far into the heart of the forest speak of a feeling that overtakes them when the mist begins to roll in. A sensation that they are not alone, that something is watching them, moving just out of sight. At first, the sound of footsteps behind them might be dismissed as the wind or their own movement, but the closer the mist gets, the more distinct the sounds become, as though another person is walking just behind them. Whispers fill the air, carried on the wind, though no one is ever seen. It is said that the phantom's voice can be heard faintly, calling out in despair, a voice that carries a deep sadness and longing. The mist itself seems to have a life of its own, thickening in certain areas and wrapping itself around travelers as if to guide them, though whether the guidance is to safety or to doom remains unclear. Some claim that if you follow the phantom's whispering voice through the fog, you will find yourself led deeper into the forest, unable to turn back, until you are trapped in the mist's grasp. The feeling of being drawn into something far greater, something ancient and sorrowful, becomes overwhelming. And for those who listen too closely, the forest's veil between the living and the dead grows ever thinner. Others who have encountered the phantom report seeing fleeting glimpses of a figure, a dark shape obscured by the mist. At first, it may seem like a trick of the light, a shadow that is nothing more than a passing illusion. But those who stare too long are said to be drawn into the figure's gaze, eyes that are hollow, empty, and filled with a profound sadness. It is at this moment that the true horror begins. The phantom is not just a spirit, but a force, a reminder of something lost, a soul condemned to wander without rest, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. The curse that binds the phantom to Brocéliande is said to be tied to a tragic event, one that is shrouded in mystery. Some believe it was the result of a broken pact, a betrayal so great that it caused a life to be lost in the most brutal of ways. Others claim that the phantom was once a guardian of the forest, but was tricked by a dark power into breaking an oath, forever condemning their soul to wander without peace. What is clear is that the phantom is not simply a victim of fate, but an entity driven by unfinished business, seeking something, perhaps redemption, perhaps vengeance, that can never be attained. As the mist thickens and the whispers grow louder, those who find themselves in the phantom's path feel the weight of its sorrow. The atmosphere becomes suffocating, and it's said that the longer you are in the presence of the phantom, the more you begin to feel its despair seep into your own soul. The curse of the phantom is one of eternal longing, a feeling that those who encounter it cannot shake. Some travelers have described how the experience lingers long after they've left Brocéliande, as if the phantom's sorrow has followed them, haunting their dreams and even their waking thoughts. Others claim that the veil is not the result of magic but something much older, a natural phenomenon that has existed for as long as the forest itself. Perhaps Brocéliande is not just a place of dark legends and mysteries, but a site where the boundaries between different worlds are especially fragile, a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist in ways that defy explanation. Whether created by magic, fate, or something else entirely, the veil between worlds is an undeniable presence in Brocéliande, and those who encounter it are forever changed. For many who have tried to cross into the veil's domain, there is no way to know if they will return. Some find themselves wandering in endless circles, always moving but never getting any closer to their destination. Others report hearing strange, disembodied voices calling out to them, urging them forward, or warning them to turn back. But no one ever hears the same voices, and those who do hear them often claim that the voices seem to speak in riddles, as though the veil itself is trying to communicate, though the meaning remains unclear. The distortion of time in Brocéliande is a warning, a reminder that some forces are beyond human comprehension, and the more we try to understand them, the more we risk losing our grasp on reality itself. In the end, those who encounter the veil are left with a choice: to step closer to the truth, to peer into the unknown and risk losing themselves forever, or to turn back and leave the forest behind, never to speak of the horrors they've witnessed. Either way, the veil remains, waiting for the next soul to wander too close, to step beyond the boundary and to lose themselves in the folds of time. Brocéliande Forest, an ancient and mystical place, has long been a realm where the line between history and legend blurs. Beneath its towering trees and tangled underbrush lies the lingering presence of forgotten tales, stories of long-lost heroes, cursed spirits, and powerful forces that once shaped the land. These echoes of past are not merely fragments of folklore. They are living, breathing remnants that haunt the very soil of the forest, whispering their forgotten truths to those who dare to listen. But the deeper one ventures into Brocéliande, the more it becomes clear. It is said that the trees themselves carry the weight of the past, their bark etched with the memories of events long ago. As the wind rustles through the branches, the whispers of ancient battles, doomed love, and vengeful spirits can almost be heard, as if the forest itself is speaking, retelling the tragedies and triumphs of those who once walked the land. These voices are not always clear, often distorted by time, but their presence is unmistakable. The further you travel into the heart of Brocéliande, the more these echoes intensify, until you feel as though you are being pulled into the very history of the forest, unable to escape the stories that have haunted its grounds for centuries. Some of these forgotten legends tell of warriors who fought fierce battles in the name of kings and gods, their blood spilled upon the earth, leaving behind a curse that still lingers in the soil. Others speak of powerful druids who wielded magic so potent that it could tear the fabric of reality itself. The most chilling of these tales, however, concern the spirits of those who were lost to time. Souls trapped in an eternal limbo, unable to move on. These are the spirits that haunt the forest, their voices carried on the wind, their forms glimpsed only in the corner of the eye. They are the forgotten ones, whose stories were erased by time, their fates sealed by forces beyond their control. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of these forgotten legends is the way they seem to come to life, almost as if the forest itself is a living, breathing entity that remembers everything. Travelers who wander too far into the forest have reported seeing strange apparitions, figures that flicker in and out of existence, sometimes taking the form of ancient warriors, sometimes appearing as shadowy figures with no discernible features. These figures rarely speak, but their presence is enough to fill the air with an eerie tension, as if they are watching, waiting, for something to happen. Others have heard the sounds of long-forgotten battles echoing through the trees, clashing swords, the screams of the fallen, and the roar of creatures long extinct. These sounds are not just memories, but something more, a manifestation of the past that refuses to be forgotten. Some say that the spirits of these warriors are still fighting, trapped in a never-ending cycle of battle, cursed to relive their final moments for eternity. The sounds can be faint at first, a distant rumble, but the closer you get to the heart of the forest, the louder and more distinct they become, until it feels as though the very air is vibrating with the power of these ancient forces. One of the most persistent of these legends concerns the haunting of the Fée Morgane, a powerful sorceress who once lived in Brocéliande. According to the tale, Morgane was betrayed by those closest to her, and in her grief and rage, she cursed the forest, vowing that no one who entered would ever leave unchanged. Her spirit is said to still wander the forest, her eyes burning with the same fury and sorrow that drove her to her tragic end. Some who have ventured deep into Brocéliande claim to have seen a figure in the distance, a woman with flowing dark hair, her form shifting like smoke. Her voice, when heard, is a soft whisper on the wind, offering promises of power and vengeance to those who dare to listen. But those who follow her whispers have often disappeared, leaving behind nothing but the faintest trace of their presence. There are also tales of a cursed well hidden deep within Brocéliande's tangled depths, said to be the source of a tragic legend. The well was once a place of healing, a gift from the gods to those in need, but it was tainted by a dark ritual performed by the Druids. Now those who drink from its waters are said to be cursed, their fate sealed by the very magic they sought to harness. It is said that the echoes of those who drank from the well can still be heard, their cries of despair and regret carried on the wind, a warning to those who seek to undo the past. The forest also holds the story of a forbidden love, a love between a human and a fairy, a union that defied the natural order and led to tragedy. The fairy, said to be the daughter of an ancient forest spirit, fell in love with a mortal man who had wandered into her domain. Their love was passionate and pure, but it was also doomed. For the forest spirit, angered by the union, cursed the couple, dooming them to live in separate worlds, never to be together again. Their love, once so beautiful, is now a sad and sorrowful tale, replayed in the forest each time a new soul stumbles upon it. It is said that the lovers' spirits can still be seen in the forest, their forms appearing at dusk, searching for one another, their hands always just out of reach. There, as you walk deeper into Brocéliande, the weight of these forgotten legends becomes impossible to ignore. The forest seems to pulse with the presence of these ancient tales, the stories of the lost and the damned, the cursed and the betrayed. Whether you hear the whispers on the wind, see the flicker of a shadow in the distance, or feel the weight of the past pressing down upon you, the presence of these forgotten legends is inescapable. They rule. The forest is not just a place of nature. It is a place where the past has never truly left, where the stories of those who came before live on, haunting the land and the minds of those who dare to wander into its depths. And as the sun sets and the mist begins to roll in, it becomes clear. Brocéliande's forgotten legends are not just stories, they are the very fabric of the forest, and they will haunt you long after you leave.